More now on anticipated government cuts. President Donald Trump has chosen to hold off on signing an executive order dismantling the Department of Education due to possible backlash regarding impacts on crucial resources. The department oversees billions of dollars to help low-income students and those with disabilities. It also enforces civil rights laws to prevent discrimination, manages about $1.5 trillion in student loan debt, and oversees the process for students applying for college and financial aid.
About the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions. Right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They said we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil.
See how there's no windows on the side? And see underneath where there's like a pod thing? What's that, right? Take a look at this wreckage. See how there's no plane parts on the ground there? What does that look like?
A missile.
You see, President Bush was in a secret society at Yale called the Skull and Bones. His dad was too, and they all worship Satan.
President Bush worshipped Satan?
In my personal opinion, absolutely. And one of the Skull and Bones initiation rituals is that to get in, you have to lie naked in a coffin and masturbate. Yeah, it's pretty gross. Okay, all right.
I want to be an astronaut.
Oh, you want to be an astronaut? Well, that's great. You can be an astronaut. All you have to do is study flying or science, and maybe someday you could be the first astronaut to walk on the moon.
No! There already was an astronaut who first walked on the moon.
Well, no, not really. That wasn't real. See, there was this thing called the Cold War, and in order to beat the Russians, we kind of faked that. That never happened.
Explain why we're not getting to see these images live. The Apollo 11 landing was broadcast live. Why now don't we have the technology to see all of this live?
And we're getting a picture on the TV. You got a good picture, huh?
He's on the moon.
The second man is on the moon. Neil Armstrong, they're getting ready to move the TV camera now out to the panorama position. Okay, as far as distance goes, Neil, and we'll line you up again when you finish the panorama. Tell me if you got a picture, Houston. Well, we got a beautiful picture, Neil.
Issues with file transfers. We did have a number of communications glitches. We had either forward or return link problems.
Also, during coast in the zero gravity of environment of space,
it's very difficult to transmit on the fly, if you will, and get that all the way back to Earth.
Struggle to get communications.
Unfortunately, they're going to be in the darkness. They will not be sunlit, so we won't get very good video of them.
Hey, Shalom, all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles, elders, and all you brothers and sisters pushing the name of Yahweh, Yahushai, in our truth and sincerity. This is going to be a quick one, and spearheaded it while I was going through my phone and found a whole bunch of videos about the miseducation of Esau, this whole society. And when you read the scriptures, John 8:32 said the truth shall set you free. There's knowledge. When you understand the scriptures, you understand that the so-called white man is a supreme serpent, sorcerer, Nakash, and he put a spell over the people, which is lies and deception or miseducation. Like, this whole world is in an uproar, this country, and there's different places in the world in an uproar, but right now you're seeing the dismantlement of Babylon the Great, aka the kingdom of Edom, the daughter of Edom when you read Psalms 137. And the miseducation These people are uproar and mad because they believe that this was a country. You believe that these people or this government and this society was for you, especially our people, the so-called Negroes, Native Americans, and Latinos. This man hates you with a perfect hatred. And now in the uproar, they have ICE, you have riots, you have all kind of conflicts between the military, the private police, the military police, where you got our people knowing that they're doing is oppression. And that's mainly because you was miseducated, that thought this was about you. And that's the scriptures being fulfilled as Isaiah 147. Isaiah 47, where it's talking about lift up the leg, make it bare. And above all, with the miseducation is the fulfilling of prophecy of Nahum 3:1 and down. Where you get Nahum 3:1, it says, woe unto the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. And this bloody city, America, or this country, which is 10 parts of the city when you read Revelations, from the area code of 0 to the zip code over there in California 9, 10 parts as prophesied to be destroyed. That's why it says, woe unto the bloody city. America is that filthy city built on the transatlantic slave trade, the destruction of the so-called Native Americans, which is the so-called Mexicans are Native Americans, and all the so-called Latinos and everything else. This is the bloody city, even to this day. Right now, the ICE is grabbing, killing people, beating people, bringing families apart. And that was all because of the miseducation. He thought this land was free. There was a comedian, George Carl, he said the education, and he brought it out that because you're not part of the club. If there's a club and you ain't in it. The club that run everything is the so-called international bankers, from the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the lesser luminary as the German man Trump. They're in here to bring in a new world order, and they'll give a hell about our people. But the thing of, it said, woe to the bloody city is full of lies, robberies, and the prey departeth not. And if you don't know who the prey is, turn on the TV. You got the so-called Mexicans in uproar. You're the prey. And it's happening to the so-called, it's going to happen to the so-called Native Americans and Negroes. Talking about this ain't your fight. They didn't come help us. And they said there's going to be breaches and broken part with 2/3 of Israel out there, where they're not going to help each other get along. That's why when you see the camps, especially through the Great Millstone, you see all 12 tribes worshiping Yahweh by Shem Shai, fulfilling the prophecy of Zephaniah 2:1, gather itself together, O nation not desired. You 12 tribes, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, make up the 12 tribes, your family. But you're still going to have breaches and tribal wars and everything else, not realizing we all have one common enemy, Esau and the other nations. But anyway, it says, woe to the bloody city, as full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. You were lied to, and the system was built up on lies. That you were part of this system, who the owners of the system is, what's their agenda. This is the miseducation of E. How they set up the so-called 9/11 terrorist plot so they could bring in a new world order, get rid of the Patriot Act, bringing the Patriot Act so they get rid of the Constitution and everything else to bring you down with the rest of the society. This is the miseducation of Esau, or the so-called white man society. Instead of telling you that they're your rulers, they want to put you in slavery, they use deception. Now people who believe the okie doke, now they're showing you the true agenda. They put your ass in slavery. You got cops working with the military. You have no rights. They're telling you that they're going to kill you. This is Revelation 12:12, where the Lord said the devil's going to come down with great wrath. But the whole thing is the lies. That's what got everybody in an uproar. And the Spirit had it where you have certain clips and people out there bringing out all kind of information, how his miracles built up on lies. But we know all this stuff through the Spirit of Yahweh Shai, that this man is the damn devil, the tyrant, the devil that the Bible speaks of. And if you ain't know, you're going to know now. So it says in the whole deception, I jump to the 5th verse, go right to the point. It says, well, I can read the whole thing. It said, the noise of a whip, the noise of the rattling of the wheels, the prancing horses, and the jumping chariots. That's the tanks, military. This is Nahum saying the prophecy. It said, the horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. That's the modern day gun and whatever weapons that they got, which is out of this, that most of our people, you can't understand or fathom. They have weaponry that you cannot beat this man. They got lasers that are shooting from the sky, destroying Hawaii. That was destroying parts over here in the States. This man is the devil. And that's his blessing is the sword. So it says, a multitude of slain, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses. And there is none end of their corpse. They stumble upon their corpse. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. And what's that whoredom and that thing? Their philosophy, their New World Order. They've been selling that to people and everything else. And ain't nobody, and they bought it. And it's their philosophy is them on top. Everybody's in captivity with that digital R, the MOTB. And they want to wipe out majority of you people. They don't need you now for your slave labor. That's why they kept you around and fed you. That's why they're taking down all your benefits and everything else. So now they can destroy you, destroy us as a people. Right? It says, behold, I'm against thee, saith the Lord of hosts. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face and will show the nations thy shame. And the number one shame is the atrocity they did to the so-called Native Americans, the Negroes, so-called Mexicans, that genocide and oppression that has been like no other. The so-called Negro was lynched. They got the hanging tree over there in Dallas and Texas. They had one for the Negroes, one for the so-called Mexicans, that they were all oppressed. When you read Jeremiah 15:33, it says Judah and Israel, the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom was oppressed together. That's over here in Babylon the Great. That's why the Lord said he's going to destroy it and wipe it off the face of the earth. When you read Joel, the 3rd chapter, it said, for the violence against Judah and the children of Israel. It says, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee and make thee vile and set thee as a gazing stock. And that's the prophecy in the judgment that's coming on America, because spiritually Babylon, spiritually Nineveh, spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah, all the wicked kingdoms, philosophies, and their idols are all here in Babylon the Great. That's why you have the torch of Prometheus, the Statue of Liberty, which is a demonic statue of satanic worship of Lucifer. And that's a lesson for a later date. But through the Spirit of the Lord, all the wickedness and how this country was built was on deception and lies, but the Lord is going to destroy it with truth. So just a quick one through the Spirit of Yahweh by Shem Shai, showing you how this devil built everything on lies, deception. You'll never own nothing. You'll never own nothing. Like Charles Schwab said, or Klaus Schwab, whatever that demon name, you shall own nothing and be happy. This is the mindset of the elites. It was all smoke and mirrors, like George Carlin said, because the American dream, because it's not true. And your owner has been screwing you from day one. Now that you realize it, their military might is too powerful, and every legislation they got is to bring you down. That we need divine intervention to bring them down. But majority of our people are going to catch hell because you worship other gods. But the elect, that's who the Lord says is coming back from the remnant, aka elect, to save and deliver from all this wickedness. So through the Spirit of Yahweh by Shem Shai, let the rest of the clips show you the wickedness of Esau and his miseducation and the downfall of his kingdom. Shalom.
All masterfully planned and executed. During the Civil War, the Constitutional Republic abandoned Congress, which forced President Lincoln to issue martial law. At this time, the Republic was taken over by foreign insurgents who replaced it with the United States of America, Inc., in all caps, in 1871. A corporation that had the same name, the United States. What better way to replace it without anyone noticing that they just got turned into a business and commercialized. Now, this corporation was later purchased by the banking powers behind the Fed in 1912. The Fed was created in 1913. Why did this happen? Well, the US was bankrupt when we sold the United States to foreign banking cartels, if you will. Salvage liens were placed on every asset. Check this out, including the people of the new federalized states. Now let's fast forward to 1933. An income tax was placed on the people to pay these foreign bankers who own the IMF, which owns the IRS. Look into what the IRS actually is. Who is the IMF owned by? You got to follow the money. Who funds it? It's the same people that own the United States Inc. Same few families, and they're not American. So when I say foreign insurgents, that's what I mean. So 1933, USA Inc. goes bankrupt. An income tax is placed on its people. In other words, you and I were turned into property. Look it up. We were turned into cattle, and we were collateralized in order to turn us, humans, flesh and blood, into a means of paying off a massive debt. But the problem is that while you are technically a person, you've entered into contracts that you're completely unaware of, such as your birth certificate, social security number, etc., that are all saying, I consent to being collateralized. You're living as property, as opposed to living as a blood and flesh natural being. On paper, you are property. You are a corporation right now. You might be hearing this and thinking, we're fucked. We're property? Are you kidding me? And that's true. And property doesn't have rights. But here is both the blessing and the curse. There are multiple of you. Just like there's multiple United States of Americas. Sleight of hand, remember? What hat do they want to wear? There are multiple of you. The insane irony in all of this is the fact that they are actually now liable for all of your alleged obligations, aka debts. That's what a debt means. You can play a wrong move in chess and still win the game. And commerce is chess. Their greatest attempt to set us back actually is their greatest weakness. How can we owe debt if the United States is liable for all of its property? If we're its property, then it's the United States' burden to pay our debt. And that is exactly what the law says. I'm going to leave you guys with two different codes that I highly recommend you look into. First is going to be the House Joint Resolution Act 192. And when that occurred, the dollar was turned into what is called Federal Reserve debt notes. So if we're being asked to pay debts, but all we are given from the system is debt notes, aka fiat money, to pay back those debts, how can we pay a debt with a debt? I just want you to sit with that. They never gave you lawful money. They never gave you gold. They never gave you silver. The other side of it is looking into 18 USC 8. 18 United States Code 8. You're going to come to find out that that's literally telling you that the United States is liable for all debt. All of your debt, the United States is liable for it. How can you pay a debt with debt notes? Don't let that go over your head. They already got paid. Whoever's coming after you saying you owe a debt, whatever, they already got paid. Why would you be paying it twice? Common law, a completely different, higher level set of law that comes from God, the Creator, is for a natural blood and flesh man. And yet you have been following legal law your entire life.
Facts you may not know. Let's get deep into it. Here we go. The United States of America was incorporated in London in 1783. The United States of America is a territory of Great Britain. The colonists did not win the Revolutionary War. The British troops did not leave until 1796. Wasn't too long ago. 2. King George III of England financed both sides of the Revolutionary War. 3. The IRS is not a U.S. government agency. It is a debt collection agency of the International Monetary Fund, which is also known as IMF. The IMF is an agency of the United States, which is the UN. The U.S. has not had a U.S. Treasury since 1921. I wonder why. 6. New York City is defined in the Code of Federal Regulations, also known as CFR, as the United Nations. Okay, let's go to 7. No judicial courts nor judges have existed in America since 1789. Executive administrators, not judges, executive administrators, not judges, enforce statutes and codes. 8. You cannot use the U.S. Constitution to defend yourself because you are not a party to it. Use instead the Bill of Rights. You own no property. Slaves cannot own property. Read the deed to the property that you think you own. You are listed as a tenant. We are slaves and own nothing, not even who we think are our children. That's deep. 11. Great Britain is owned by the Vatican. 12. The Pope can abolish any law in the United States. Make sure y'all take notes. 13. We are human capital. 14. We are enemies of the state. Let's see what else they got, y'all. Trying to get through this as quick as possible. 15. Your name, when spelled in all caps, is a corporation. 16. The people do not include you and me since our name are all capital letter fictional legal names. 17. A 1040 form is a tribute paid to Great Britain. Here's the rest.
About the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions. Right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They said we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing fucking ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back. so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Man. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.